Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. and I make videos all about the journey of starting a candle business. And typically in my candle business, I use exclusively fragrance oil. I've never made a candle using essential oils before, but that is exactly what I'm going to be doing in today's video. So I am going to be making a 100% soy 100% essential oil candle, and then I'm gonna see if it actually turns into a good candle or not, if the hot throw is actually there. And I'm really interested to try this out because this has been something that I have been interested in myself, and I've never dove into the essential oil world when it comes to candle making, just because I wasn't really sure about the whole safety aspects of it. And then Candle Science came out with their essential oil line, so I decided to get some. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So I have a bag of the Golden Brands 464 soy wax. This is the 100% soy wax. And then I also have the lavender essential oil. I'm not going to be doing any blending. It's just going to be a straight lavender essential oil candle. So what I did, because again, I've never used essential oils to make candles before. So what I did was I went on to Candle Science. I looked at their essential oil section, and essentially it's pretty much the same way as making regular candles with fragrance oil, but I am going to only do 6% instead of my typical 8% that I do in my candles, because I know that essential oils, like, they can be a little bit more finicky, or there can be, you know, you don't want to add too much of the essential oil in there, basically. So we're going to be making a candle out of this 9-ounce straight-sided jar, and I'm just chose one single CDN size 4 wick because that's what I'm typically used to wicking in these jars. And I don't know if that's going to work with this, but it's just all for fun, so we're just going to give it a try. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out and wick my jar. So I have a little bottle right here of alcohol. I'm just going to spray the inside and then wipe it clean. And this is just to make sure that the wick is going to adhere to the bottom of the jar and then it's not going to pop off. And then I'm going to take my little wicking device. This is kind of the same thing as what you would do with a pen when you open up a pen, and you can use it kind of as leverage to wick it. So I will put that in front so you can kind of see it a little bit more. So I'm just going to go down and try my best to get in the middle as best as I can. A little bit off to the side, not a huge deal. This is just for fun. So that is good. And then the only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wick holder for this. And my favorite wick holders are just good old clothespins, because you're able to hold it tight and then use the other end of the clothespin to really hold it down. So we got the candle all ready to go. So now that that's ready, now I'm going to measure out both the wax and the fragrance oil. So let me get, actually, you know what? It might need one of these scales over here. So I'm just using a small pouring pitcher for this. It's just a little 2-pound pouring pitcher. But I'm going to grab this scale. Let me measure out the wax first. So I did the calculations, and I'm going to be doing exact measurements as much as possible to try to make it as accurate as possible. So I'm going to be doing 186.7 grams of 464 wax. So that is what we are going to be measuring right now. So let me get this bag going. So I put this on the scale, and then I press the tare button. So that just basically zeroes it out, and I am just going to be measuring the wax inside here. So 186.7. The nice thing is this is in flake form, and that makes it way easier to actually pour in here. So poured a little bit too much in. It's at 187.3. I'm going to take some out. I'm looking for 186.7. There we go. So 186.7, and then I'm actually gonna get this heated up before I pour the fragrance oil. So this right here is just a hot plate with a pot. Now this pot has seen some better days. This pot has been around for a long time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to take some water and pour just a very small amount in the bottom because we're gonna be double boiling. So I'm going to turn this on, get it hot, get that in there, and then sooner or later we're going to hear it start to boil, and then we're going to check the temperature and make sure that we are going to be adding in the essential oil at 185 degrees. So now I'm going to measure out the fragrance oil while that is heating up. So same thing, I'm using a little silicone cup. So this is something that we use all the time for essential or for our fragrance oils, and it's just reusable. So we're not using those little paper Dixie cups that I got started with in the beginning, and I was always tossing them away. These ones can just be wiped out clean, and we use them over and over and over again. So I'm going to put that on the scale, and I'm going to tare it so that it's only the essential oil. I think this is a glass bottle. Yeah, this is very fancy. Okay, so I'm doing 11.3 grams of essential oil. I do not want to spill this. Ooh, that essential oil. That is essential oil. That is definitely lavender. We're looking for 11.3. There we go. Okay, so that is good to go there. I'm going to put that off to the side, clear off the table. And so what I'm going to be doing is waiting for this to heat up. Once this starts boiling and starts heating up, then what I will do is I will check the temperature and then make sure that it's heating up to probably a little bit over 185. I like to have it more maybe towards like the 190-ish. With double boiling, it's really easy because the pitcher is already getting really hot, so you don't have to worry about like hitting it with a heat gun and making sure that that's not going to drastically cool down the wax before you pour in the fragrance. So in this case, I just want to make sure that it's going to bind properly with the wax, so I'm going to wait until this heats up to the proper temperature. All right, so now we can hear the boiling of the wax. It is completely melted and it is now up to temperature. So I have been checking it and it's at about 194. So that is perfect. I'm going to remove that because by the time it comes off of here onto the table and I pour this in, it's probably going to be right around that 185. I am so intrigued by this. So curious to see how this candle is going to burn. Okay, I can turn this off now. Cool that down with some more water. There we go. Okay, so make sure we are getting a good stir for this candle. So I don't know, I don't want to pour the wax out. Hoping you can see it. All right, so now we get to pour this candle. So I'm just gonna go over on the open side over here, pour it on in. And it's gonna go right up until that line, a little bit above it. There we go. So there's our candle. There's our essential oil candle. This is gonna keep boiling, isn't it? Because it's still pretty hot. Pour all of that in there. There we go. Make it a little quiet. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to set a reminder on my planner for 2 weeks out, and we are going to test this, see how the hot throw is. I'm not as concerned with the way that the wick is performing, although I am interested in that. And I know that the wick does have a lot to do with the hot throw, so don't take this as like, if this doesn't have a good hot throw, then that means that no candle made with essential oil is going to have a good or a bad hot throw. So don't, take that as this is like the ultimate experience, because this is just me choosing a wick, and that could be an issue. Could not work. So we will see. So the next time you see me, it will be 2 weeks later, and we'll be testing this candle. So now it's time to light the candle and test the hot throw. Now the cold throw on this was actually insanely strong. I mean, I never really give anything a 10 out of 10, but the cold throw on this was so strong. And what's interesting is that I had actually learned that the essential oil part added to fragrance oil actually is supposed to help with a stronger cold throw more than a stronger hot throw. I don't necessarily know how true that is, but for this straight 100% essential oil candle, it seemed to be the case. Now this was after about 3 hours of burning, and again, I wasn't sure how this wick was going to perform with the rest of the ingredients, but it seemed to actually do pretty well. Now it did take until about the 3-hour mark to really start smelling it. I think about an hour in, I asked Chris when he went to the restroom if he smelled it at all, and he said that he didn't smell it unless he hovered over it. So we all know that that means that that's a weak hot throw. But overall, this was about the 4-hour mark. It actually burned pretty well, and I would say the hot throw was about maybe a 5, maybe a 6 out of 10. It actually impressed me a lot more than I thought it was going to, but this was really fun to be able to test and see how a full 100% essential oil candle went. But I really hope you enjoyed seeing today's video, and I will see you in the next one.